You're listening to Whoa! Potluck.
Welcome to Marvel Makeup. I'm Quincy.
And I'm Kay, and this is a podcast where I teach Quincy a little bit about Marvel.
And I teach Kay a little bit about makeup.
Watch out, there are MCU spoilers ahead.
Yeah, listen up. Maybe not watch up. I don't know. Sorry, that was weird.
And our guest today is a writer, director, producer, host, and performer, so many things, who wrote on the UCB sketch team, The New Deal, and the 2017 CBS Diversity Sketch Showcase.
She was also a 2019 participant in the National Hispanic Media Coalition's TV Writers Program and one of my favorite people on earth. Please welcome Lisa Timmons.
Oh my gosh. If I'm greeted like this every day of my life, I will die a happy woman.
Yay. All right. We'll put this on a loop for you. So just every day
you are
wake up to it.
I'm in my happy place with you guys.
Well, welcome, Lisa. Thanks so much for joining us. Today we are talking about a really awesome movie. So great, awesome guest, great, awesome movie. We are talking about Thor Ragnarok. Just to give you a little context, it was released November 3rd, 2017. It was directed by Taika Waititi, an amazing director. I'm such a fan of his.
Taika? Isn't it Taika? I can never know.
I think it's Taika.
Taika.
I think it's Taika.
Yeah.
I said Taika and someone was like, it's Taika and said it so definitively.
Oh, you know what? They might be right. I can't say with definitive. Wait, yes. What am I talking about? He was on Drag Race and RuPaul, I remember, said Taika.
He was on Drag Race?
Yes.
When?
Was he? Drag Race Australia.
Yes. Because
He had a little, he had a little, he did a video in. He did like a you've got mail.
a zoom in as a judge. Was he a judge? Oh, cool.
Zoom in for like a little challenge.
Awesome.
I think it was a mini challenge.
Great. Well, I guess he is not only a director, writer, but he is also a Drag Race judge. But he also wrote and directed Jojo Rabbit, which he won the Oscar for as original screenplay, or it might have been adapted. It was a screenplay award. He also co-created and What We Do in the Shadows and directed episodes of those, and then directed episodes of Flight of the Conchords. He's from New Zealand, so he is from there and kind of represents kind of like indigenous type people because I believe he's part Maori, which is like the native New Zealand Pacific Islander ethnicity. And just to give you a little background on what was happening in 2017, it was a really big year for movies. This was the third MCU movie that came out in 2017.
Look at me learning stuff when pulled up Disney Plus and said 2017. I was like, I think this is the third movie that has come out this year.
Yeah, because this was the last MCU movie that came out in 2017. So I've been having to expand my 2017 highlights over the past 3 episodes because we've been covering every single movie. Because Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Spider-Man Homecoming also came out in 2017.
Right. I didn't realize that.
Great year of stacked movies.
Yeah.
That's
something had to be going right in 2017.
They
were like, you know what? Let's release 5.
Yeah. Did they know? Did Marvel know? They must have known.
Maybe. Well, not just Marvel, but Get Out came out that year, which was a huge impact on the box office. It was the highest grossing debut for a feature length film based on an original screenplay up to that point.
And MoviePass was still happening.
Guys, remember MoviePass? I think that was
remember movies?
Yeah. Remember theaters?
I remember that year. Was it that year or the year before when Movie Pass came out? And that was like the thing. I remember just at comedy clubs, like that was like the joke everyone wanted to
Nobody
make.
would stop talking about. I went to see Black Panther twice, and let me tell you the movie I found out that they stopped allowing you to go to the same movie multiple times was when I attempted to go see Tyler Perry's Acrimony, starring Taraji P. Henson for the second time. And I get to the theater and it's like not working. I was like, well, I'm just going to buy a ticket.
Did they give you a reason why? Or was that just a policy that they happened to reinstate between the last time you used it?
I think it was on Movie Pass's way out where people were doing what I was going ham. I just went to everything. I didn't care what it was.
And you might as well.
I was like, I'll go multiple times. This is a fun in theater experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're like, they're like, here, a pass. You can see so many movies, and people are like, done. And they're like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, we've made a huge mistake. And then now they're like, can you come back?
Yeah, exactly. Like hot and cold, guys. And Wonder Woman also came out that year. Logan, Star Wars Last Jedi. And that was also the year that they had the Oscars envelope gate, where they accidentally announced that La La Land won Best Oscar, but it was Best Picture, but it was actually Moonlight. So many movie-related things.
I remember reading an article, I think it was in the New Yorker, talking about what Faye Dunaway was doing because she basically gave Warren Beatty the envelope. He took the heat and she kind of wandered off and was just like eating almonds, like watching it all
while the
unfold.
fire is
she didn't care.
Wow.
Wow. 2017 really had a lot happening from a pop culture perspective. I really forgot.
Yeah. And fun year.
So that was kind of the movie landscape, but let's go ahead and dive into the movie that we are talking about, Thor Ragnarok. One of my favorites because I really enjoy like the team up movies. And for me, this is kind of an unofficial team up movie because you have, Banner, you have Valkyrie, you have, of course, Loki. But Lisa, what's your hot take about Thor Ragnarok?
I don't know that my take is so hot.
Okay.
But I will say the thing that hit me was, as you said, Wonder Woman came out that year. And when I saw Wonder Woman, I was, philosophies and issues with whatever you may feel about it aside, it was powerful for me to see that many women on screen fighting like badasses.
Yes.
It blew me away because I realized I hadn't seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
But
same.
But then when I saw Thor Ragnarok, I was like, every single action movie director should be a comedy person because you can have action or you can have comedy without action, kind of, but comedy enhances everything to me. I'm 100% biased. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, this isn't a hot take, but for an Indigenous person to inject themes about colonialism and what it means to fight other people's wars. I mean, that's not a hot take. But I loved that was happening in this movie.
No, I would say that is a hot take, and that is a great take because for me, when I first saw it, I was just kind of blown away by like how different it looked, the difference in tone compared to the other Thor movies. I was like, oh, they're going funny and from the top,
So funny.
Yeah. Him in Searcher's Dungeon and like the spinning around is like, oh, I'm spinning. I'm not doing this. I promise. Like, I was like,
and
okay.
What was great was like, that really would have happened. Like he didn't make it funny. Like he didn't have to make something up. Like he really used the situation to make.
It was so simple.
Yeah. And very organic feeling. And to me, what blew me away was the fact that it felt so organic and natural, even though the other two movies were so much more like Shakespearean and kind of more serious and darker. So yeah, I remember that being kind of like a big factor that when I first saw it, but watching this not second time, probably
I was
seventh or eighth time.
Like, this is not the second time
I've seen this movie a lot.
This movie.
It did hit me harder. The rewriting of history, the philosophy of empire, and and in kind of classic Marvel fashion with the villain, she has kind of like a justified grudge against Odin, and the reason why she is kind of pursuing her goal, and because she's the firstborn. She actually is entitled to the throne. She has a title to the throne. So that hit me so much harder this time. And so I'm so glad that you brought that up.
Actually, Lisa, you're also just a sidebar. You're the second person we've talked about who we were like, comedy people really know what they're doing when given the chance to do this. Remember Hakeem, I think our first episode, Hakeem said something similar, like, comedy people can do it all.
Do you think it's way easier to make people cry in life? Yeah. In life. And I think that's true of in art. I think it's a lot harder to make people laugh. I could tell the saddest story in the world and make you sick and cry. But like, if you can't make somebody laugh after that, then because that's the whole point of comedy, I think, is like you make it really bad and then you give the release.
Yeah.
At least there's a point to why I'm making you so sad.
Yeah.
I find that too, that even like nowadays, like a lot of comedies are gearing more darker, are kind of pushing more towards, laughs that kind of come out of like the awkwardness and kind of like the desperation. So when I can watch something that actually has like legit jokes, it's such a relief, and it's such a wash over you to be like, oh my gosh, yes, that release of like, I'm that feeling of joy coming out of the pain,
Oh, when you realize Loki has been falling for 30 minutes.
I mean, a great sequence. And Quincy, do you recognize that sequence from when we saw it in the earlier movie as an after credit? Where Thor, remember Thor had the beer?
Oh, yes, that. Sorry, I thought you meant yes. I thought you meant Loki falling through was a after end. No, yes.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Cool. Because, we've been watching all the Marvel movies in order. One of the after credits for Doctor Strange was Thor sitting with him and the beer, drinking out of the beer and then it refilling whenever he was drinking it. But yeah, that was a great sequence, a very short kind of tie in to Doctor Strange, but it didn't feel like nudge, shoved in there. It definitely felt like
or earned. Yeah, it didn't feel out of pocket. Wait, Lisa, what were you going to say about Cate Blanchett's character, who fucking killed it, by the way? I was just like,
hella.
For so much of this movie, I was like, if you want me to not like this person, you're going to have to make her about 1 million times less fabulous. Because every time she's like,
super evil villainous pose the entire time, the whole time. She's like standing like this.
I said the same thing to the first time she appears to them in Norway. She's literally like doing broken down doll, like brothers.
The whole time. Like it felt like she had studied
her
angles and was like, no matter where I'm standing, no matter where the camera is, I'm gonna have a silhouette of a villainess, no matter what.
Yeah,
I love the hands over the head to move the hair into the horns, and the fight scenes with the horns. I feel like this is the part where I really, really loved her because I was like, girl, you are just slitting throats with this crazy ass headdress that has to be so heavy.
Yep. Yeah.
I thought the
power was maintaining her balance.
Yeah. No, there was one point when she's doing something and I was like, man, just the amount of bobby pin, I don't know what.
I mean, they probably did have to build a practical helmet at some point. I'm guessing like when she did have to do a lot of movement, it was mostly, CG, but I'm pretty sure that they did have to build a practical one just for like her, just like the reveal herself. Ones. Yeah. But hella talk about an amazing villain, great performance, and that moment just from the beginning, her first entrance where she literally breaks Mjolnir, the hammer, and I was just
so fast.
Yeah. And it's this thing of like, you're like trying to gauge, like, is this villain strong enough? Are they bad enough? Are they really that big of a threat? And from that moment, you're just like, oh, she's not here to play.
Well, yeah. And I would say also too, then from a writing perspective, Taika destroyed that hammer in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
So we're not going to be able to rely on this hammer. We're going to see Thor vulnerable. We're going to see Thor needing somebody else. Tessa Thompson's character, the Valkyrie, I can't even remember
Tessa
the name,
Thompson,
but
yes.
Dude, she comes she's the Han Solo that I want.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it felt like to me. Like, oh, you could tell she'd had like when she stumbles out, she's drinking. She's just like got the crazy machine gun thing.
Yep. Talk about another like entrance that just immediately is just like telling you, I'm not here to play. I am a strong character that you're definitely going to have to that you're going to have to deal with, and it's going to be formidable. So yeah, and just like overall from the top, you have so many great characters being introduced. You have
Scourge. Can we talk about Jeff Goldblum as an evil villain?
Yes, of course. You can't talk about this movie without talking about Grandmaster Jeff Goldblum. He probably has an actual real name that's like Grandmaster something else, but to me, he is actually Jeff Goldblum in that universe.
Oh my God. It was great. He was great.
I noticed, because this is Marvel and makeup, my little eyes were like, let me look at this makeup in Marvel.
Yes.
And everybody had a little signature swipe of something, which, by the way, also happens in glitter. I don't know if you guys know this about that movie.
The Mariah Carey movie?
Yeah. She always has a stripe of glitter on her at different points. So maybe Taika was inspired by glitter. I'm just kidding. That is 100% not what happened. But I loved how Jeff Goldblum has the blue. He had the blue. Tessa Thompson had the white.
The white. Yep.
And then the other, the oh my gosh, Jeff Goldblum's Maori henchwoman.
Topaz is the character name.
I don't know this actress's name, but she's fantastic.
She is fantastic. Oh, I do. I looked her up. Rachel House is her name. She is so funny. She's part Maori. She also played Grandma Tala in Moana, who is like the grandma character.
Yes, I love Moana. Moana is another movie where it's all about a lady who's like, if you would have just given me what was rightfully mine, we would not even be here today.
Also, just Odin just being like, hey, I have the secret. I knew your sister was going to come, and like, I'm not going to tell you until like 2 seconds before I die.
By the way, I'm going to be turning into golden dust. I'll see you later. Bye.
Like, deal with
that
my
was
problems.
The most abrupt goodbye. I'm going to be gone forever I've ever seen. Also, he was very chill about it.
I mean, he was banned for a while, so he was probably like, I'm over it. I've been here. I've gotten used to just looking out on this cliff and over the water for the longest time, so I'm good.
I've been here for hours.
Yeah. That's the piece that giving like a nice view for like years and years can give you. Just be like, when it comes to your time, you're like, I'm good.
I will disintegrate. No problem. Well, I would ask you, Kay, as the Marvel Universe expert, I was struck by this aside in that the child of a monarch has that reminded me of Black Panther, where you have T'Challa visiting his father in this place that sort of represents their homeland. And I'm like, is that an MCU thing? Is that just like maybe a coincidence, or what do you think?
Well, I feel it is more of like a cultural thing that's not necessarily specifically MCU, but there are different stories in the MCU where the characters, because of like the realm that they come from, they have that just like cultural story. Like, I don't know if you ever saw Thor Dark World, the second Thor.
I think I did. Is that where they destroy something in the desert?
Yeah.
With the ether, right? And
that's one of the ether. Yeah, where Natalie Portman is on her horrible period because she's filled with red stuff.
If you rewatch the movie, Lisa, it's literally her on her period. Like she's
tired,
really bad PMS.
Ed Swan.
She sees red, like. But spoiler alert, there, the mother character played by Renee Russo dies in that one. So
yes, that's right.
So so when they light her, her casket on fire and it goes off the water, and once he stomps his staff, she also disintegrates into dust and into like gold sparkles, and so and then she kind of floats up into the sky. So that is kind of like in that realm, in that culture. And I think it's very similar to like it's like kind of based in like Viking culture, that like, once you pass on, you kind of become part of, the stars, and, your matter lives on. I'm trying to think if there's have we seen any other things where like when someone dies, they have a type of like a philosophy behind it, in terms of like what happens to them and their spirit, Quincy? I know in Guardians, like they had,
or even like that I'm kind of even thinking about like how T'Challa went unconscious and like talk like with the flower and talk, like had that moment and sort of talk with this whole moment of like talking with your ancestors, like, cause they're in Norway doing it. And then with T'Challa, it was like, I'm talking about with the trees, and then all of the other tigers and like panthers in the family tree, like looking. I was just like, that's interesting.
I think speaking with your ancestors definitely is probably in African culture. Time out. Wait, this is going to be great. Lisa, have you seen Shang-Chi?
Not yet.
Okay, never mind. Because then if you had, usually, so we only do spoilers for the audience, but no spoilers for me since I'm experiencing the movie for the first time.
Here's what I will tell you, however. You can spoil things for me. I still love the journey, and I also want to be, and you guys, and then I'll be more excited about watching it. So I appreciate what you're doing, but I am a voracious consumer of this stuff. And so I'll just be like, oh, I want to see how they did it.
Okay, then.
But thank you.
First time ever in our podcasting history, Kay gets to put on the earmuff.
I'm going to earmuff. Okay, because I haven't seen yet. Okay, I'm going to earmuff. Okay.
I saw it. But okay, so similarly, there is a thing in Shang-Chi at the end where they do a floating thingy. And so I'm wondering, because you were like, is there another one? And then like, that's an Asian culture thing. I'm guessing they pull from, I don't know. Yeah, so I'm wondering if this is like a mainstay of the MCU. I've seen this motif used where you speak to like, go to a dreamscape in other books, but maybe this is MCU specific that they're building up to.
I was going to say, I mean, it really did feel so much like that moment where T'Challa goes back, and then, and even, what is his name? Killmonger. He goes there too. And so I was like, oh, that's clearly a thing they're using, like a trope that they're using. So that's interesting. Did you
for Shang-Chi, and we didn't see they didn't go to the another world that way, but like, you know how Kay just said, like they release them into the water.
Yes.
There's a moment they do that in the movie. I love the movie. The movie was great. It was so much fun.
Oh my gosh. I did hear, someone told me about a moment where he was told to take off his shirt to fight. And he says, why? And they're like, don't worry about it. And the woman he's fighting gets to be fully clothed. And I was like, yes. Oh my God, poor Kay. I feel like you know what? Kay, you can come back. We had a moment communing with our ancestors real quick. Hope that was okay for you, Kay.
I don't think she heard, but
how the tables have turned.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, you guys look so excited. I know when Quincy's pumping her fists, I was like, oh, something's going down. Yes, I have not yet seen Shang-Chi. So I'm sure once I see that, we'll have so much more to pull from in terms of the movies.
I love it.
Yeah. So just to go back to the great characters in this movie. You have Scourge at the top, played by Keith Urban, taking over for Heimdall because we realize that Loki is still alive. What was that?
Is his name is Keith Urban?
Wait, Carl Urban.
Yeah, I literally
I was like wrong.
I was like,
Nicole.
This is
that was a different
movie.
Different Urban.
Would watch that movie though. Would watch it.
And then you have those cameos by Matt Damon and Liam Hemsworth in the play.
Matt Damon. Oh my God. I looked it up and I was like, oh, this is a secret cameo because he is not listed. And I'm pretty sure that's fucking Matt Damon.
Yeah, it was Matt Damon.
Oh my God, I love it.
We have the incredible Tom Hiddleston coming back as Loki, the god of mischief, and being a trickster again. Oh, such a great scene with him being like, I'm playing Odin, being like, oh, you're back. And then him throwing the hammer and being like, okay, I give.
I wanted to say something about that scene that my fiance pointed out, where he said that this is the moment that you realize that Tom Hiddleston is becoming a bigger star than Matt Damon. Yeah. Because Matt Damon's the cameo. And then from there, Tom Hiddleston fully, he was already, but I feel like I was like, oh, wow, that's so true.
Oh, interesting. I was just going to say the opposite of that is that Matt Damon is so famous that he's now just doing cameos. I only say this because I just saw him in another movie, completely different vibe. He's not listed in the opening credits at all, but has a cameo.
In the other movie?
It's not a Marvel movie. It's a completely other movie that just recently came out. And he pops up and you're like, he has this like really amazingly horrible, like it's a horrific thing he says, an amazing monologue. I don't know if you guys want to know what movie he came in. And then, when I saw this,
I don't mind, but Kay probably would.
No, I mean, what was not
the Don Cheadle movie that just came out on Netflix. With Benicio del Toro.
You will know, or
spoilers, guys. Yeah. No sudden moves.
Oh, okay.
Was it good? And the cameo, was it good?
His cameo was excellent. Oh my God. He has a really great monologue. And so when I saw this, I was like, I guess just Matt Damon's just doing fun cameo bit roles now. Because he doesn't, why does he need to star anybody? I don't know. That's what I got, Lisa.
He's like, he's not as big of a star.
Or he's just like, it takes a long time to star in a movie. I'll do cameo. He's like,
just as much, if not more. Maybe.
Well, I would love it if we were all talking about Matt Damon doing Cameo, the app. Happy birthday, Susan.
Well, anything can happen nowadays. So many things. And then Kate Blanchett as Hela, Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, Stan Lee as the barber. Did you catch that? This classic Stan Lee cameo.
Well, yes, I caught it because I was also like, a man with those crazy razor hands just gave Chris Hemsworth an amazing haircut.
Amazing. Yeah.
It was that is not the haircut that you expect to get while you're a prisoner gladiator, right about to go out and fight.
Yeah.
Are you guys long hair Chris Hemsworth or short hair Chris? No, long hair Thor or short hair Thor?
I'm on board with the short hair because just the long hair gets a little mullety, Yeah, but
I'm good with either, but I feel like he does so much running around and sweating that like after a certain point, that hair, you're like, ugh. It's like, so maybe short hair. Maybe I answered my own question. I think short hair.
I think it's long hair because when I see him, I just think of his brother Liam. I'm like, okay. No,
speaking of brothers, did you catch the cameo of who played him?
Yeah, in the play,
the thing with Matt Damon.
No, was it him?
It was
Liam.
Hemsworth.
Yeah. That's the oldest brother, not Liam.
Oh, it's the
oldest brother.
I was wondering. I was like, that looks almost exactly like him.
Because here's the thing: just when you think you've named all the Hemsworths, remember, there's always one more.
There's
it's
like
a clown
7
car.
That's so funny.
There's so many Hemsworths.
I'm trying to see which one it was.
It's the oldest brother,
Luke Hemsworth. Actor Thor. okay. Well, I thought it was Liam because I was like, that's the other one, right?
Right. There's always one more.
There's always more. Yeah, Idris Elba comes back as Heimdall.
Yes.
And then you have, of course, Bruce Banner back as
That was such
Hulk.
a delightful surprise. And this made me think of when we watched Civil War about who was stronger.
Mm-hmm.
If Thor and Hulk were around.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Hulk, Loki's trauma.
From watching the Hulk versus Thor in the Gladiator arena. Yes.
When he was remembering being smacked around.
Yeah.
It feels.
Yep. That was so fun. And the thing is like you can he just registers every single moment of that. He comes in, he's like, Thor's having a fight. I'm up here in my box. And then he sees Hulk. He's like, I gotta get off this planet.
Yeah. It was
the whole
great.
planet.
Yeah. Gotta get it.
That's how heavy that trauma is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when you get smashed, it sits with you. The smash is deep. The smash is deep. I will say one of my favorite part of the performances of Hulk, like so many good stuff, because you don't really ever see Hulk kind of talk before this. Like he has actual scenes as Hulk in this movie. So that whole thing of like Hulk is burning fire, Thor is smoldering fire, and he's like, well, I'm kind of burning fire too. I thought that was really great. But when he
kind of reminded me of what's his name? Dave Bautista's character a little bit. Plus
Oh yes, from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. Drax and Groot's character combined, because he was such a big man baby. He was such a baby. It was adorable. He was just like sad and grumpy.
Yeah. I mean, very, very Hulkish, and he has that kind of like that stunted speak of just like Hulk this, Hulk that, Hulk talk in third person. Kind of like the Neanderthal type, characteristic.
He's a simple guy.
Yeah. But for me, I thought one of the kind of more emotional moments was when he sees Natasha on the screen in the Quinjet and he transforms back into Banner. The thing is obviously there's a lot of CGI involved because he's going from Hulk to an actual person again. But even through all of that, I really felt like the emotion of that transformation, like he's hitting himself and he's being like, no, Banner, no, like, because Banner's coming back out and he's losing control. So that I thought that was a really great moment, with all kind of like the epicness and like all the funny stuff happened. I was like, oh, I remember when I was watching that this time, I was like, oh shoot, that really got me this time. I got a little choked up because, he sees Natasha and then suddenly the humanity, the Banner in him, is able to kind of like, power through and come back out after him being Hulk for so long. So I thought that was really great.
Me too. Cause who doesn't want to imagine that like you're the only thing standing between a man completely destroying the world if like he can't talk to you.
Yeah, I'm sure Natasha plays that card a lot when she goes into parties. She's like, I'm the only one that can bring the Hulk back to his humanity. So,
cool card trick, bro. Oh, you do CrossFit?
Have you met my guy?
Oh, he's not inside because if he was, this whole place would be destroyed because he's bigger than the
whatever. I'm also pretty lethal, but like that's fine.
And I also really appreciated along with the kind of like that the face painting and stuff like that, like the festival, like it had very like a lot of like cultural kind of references. You have like the green smoke. There's like an Indian, festival that has a lot of like powder and stuff like that. That reminded me of that. And actually especially Valkyrie's face painting. It very much reminded me of like Polynesian kind of like tattoos, because they can be like really small and like intricate and like build out. So I definitely felt throughout this whole movie just like, man, this looks different. The tone is different from all the Thor movies. So it definitely made me a fan of Taika and just being like really interested in like where he planning to take this character and this whole kind of world. And he is doing the next Thor movie, Thor Love and Thunder.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's called Thor Love and Thunder.
Yes. Thor Love and Thunder. And
it sounds like an Usher album.
Usher might be in this movie. He was in I'm just kidding. I don't know. He was in Hustlers. Possible.
The way they play with cameos, you never know. Maybe he's playing Heimdall in like the next play version of whatever.
Love and Thunder? Are you
Love and Thunder, yes.
Guys,
like
Jason Derulo was in Cats. Jason Derulo was in Cats. Jason Derulo was in Cats. Anything is possible.
Love and Thunder. It sounds like,
gosh, your doggy.
It sounds like a reality TV show.
Yeah. And Thunder Island.
Yeah. Or like all the Norse gods reality, it's like all the, their wives and they're like, Thor's gone this week, but
you didn't come to my fashion show. You didn't support me.
I mean, you have a lot of great characters to pull from. I mean, sure, Thor is a job, but Loki. I mean, what girls are there for Loki?
Is there someone he gets quote unquote depressed in? I remember somebody was saying there's a Thor movie where Thor gets like out of shape and sad.
That's later. That's
later.
Later in the Avengers, because that's where all the other where they start to team up again.
Okay.
So that's where that happens.
Sorry, this is a total tangent, but like thinking about how many videos I feel like are out there for Chris Hemsworth, like Thor workouts for guys to do. I cannot wait for the video where he's like, and this is how I gained all this weight to just chill out in this movie.
Yeah. I think they ended up using a suit for him in that.
Of course.
Because, you can do all that hard work.
He's like, I'm going to make my brother Luke gain all this weight and then we'll put my face on it.
Dude, he looked stacked. There's that one, what scene was it in? He's like walking around with his shirt off. I was like, his muscles have muscles.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But like in front of Hulk.
Yeah. Yeah. He's just looking at him, just like, bulk up a little bit,
a year-round job, huh? For him to
it seems like, like so much grilled chicken.
Yeah. Grilled chicken, a lot of cardio,
and green stuff.
Yeah, circuit training.
I think he has to eat a lot though. Like that's the other thing too, is he's probably eating like 8 times a day for all the calories to be bulking up that much. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's definitely a lifestyle. I feel like with the new Eternals coming out, Kunal Nanjiani is in that. And he's a comedian. He is a stand-up comic. And so he had to bulk up for the role. And
I know, because I saw him like right before any of those pictures were posted. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
First of all, not to be like mean, but we work in comedy. And so comedy guys don't necessarily have to do the same things the comedy ladies have to do to be considered attractive.
True,
so when you see a comedy guy put in the effort that ladies do, you're like, what?
Like, oh my gosh. Now
his wife is just, this.
Just caressing him all the time now.
On the record, they looked adorable together. It was very cute. But I was also like, it was quite dramatic.
Yeah, a transformation. So it's like a whole like thing, like routine, and just like a whole like process that they put them through in order to give them that look, and it makes you always wonder how actually strong are they? How actually like fit are they? I mean, they're probably really pretty strong and pretty fit, but like it's definitely, you realize it's definitely to get that look, not.
I feel like if you look at if you watch Warrior, there's a Joe Taslim. He's like he's like a martial artist. And like, when you look at his body, he looks lean, but like jacked. But that's because I think he uses his muscle for like martial arts versus I think the other actor, I think those are like beauty muscles. So he looks big, but like not nearly as like lean and cut. Like when Joe, I love him. I talk about him like I know him. When Joe comes on, you can see like the muscle striations because he's just a fucking beast.
Yeah, and and people who like just like lift weights or like Olympic weightlifters, they're not necessarily like built, they're just they're solid, but they don't have like bulging. If it's not like all cut. So again, it's like strength versus look versus the actual type of fit that you're trying to go for. Is it matters. And
the bottom line is whatever effort they're putting in, keep it up. keep doing it.
Going.
Don't stop now.
You've come too far.
You've come too far. See how far you can go.
Also, don't let Kunal be the only one, like
no, like let him inspire you.
Yeah.
Well, and what's interesting though is they do have the spectrum, because so you do have Thor all bulky, but you do also have Loki, who's not super bulky, but he himself is also very fit. I mean, I'm not sure if there's any. I don't think there's any like shirtless pictures of shots of him yet, but I will say down the line you do get to see more of his actual body, and he himself is also fit, but he's not bulked up like Thor.
Well, that's the crazy thing is you've got like Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, the Hulk, and all these people, and like you think to yourself, oh, that person, oh look, Loki's so small, and you're like, he's probably like so ripped, but you could never know because everybody else is like,
yeah, exactly. Their houses, because they're like literally box shaped.
These are buildings.
Yes,
they're buildings of people.
I will say like Loki, he's a fave character in the MCU. We also have Quincy has also grown to love him over these movies. And I feel like he, like Thor, he actually has a lot of growth in this movie as well.
Yes,
he goes from, obviously living life as is, under in the guise of Odin. And then by the end, he's actually willing to stay by Thor's side, even though they have that kind of like, scene in the elevator where it's just like, they're finally kind of recognizing that, they'll have to go their separate ways, even though Thor had wanted him to kind of like be by his side, for them to be together, throughout their lives. And then I feel like, Thor giving him that little speech about him being more than just the god of mischief, that finally kind of like dialed into him of like how he can actually just be, almost maybe a hero himself, which, at the end, he does have that heroic, your savior is here. And he, goes back with Korg to help the Asgardians escape in the final battle, which of course is like so epic and so huge, and just like an amazing visual feat, I feel, especially with that walk, that badass like Tessa Thompson walk down the Bifrost with the fireworks behind her. I was just like, dang, that was an awesome shot. Like that's one of those moments in like MCU history that always like gets me, no matter how many times I see it. I'm like, that looks so cool.
I have a question about Loki. Mm-hmm. The conversation he has with Thor in the elevator, because I thought like he wants acknowledgement still, right? Because like, he didn't say anything while Thor's going on and on about like, I forget what he was saying, but you could tell like whatever Thor was saying about Loki, he like disagreed, but like was just going with it. Like he still is a little brother at the end of the day.
Yeah. I feel like, he has this facade, like, I don't care, I'm the god of mischief. So I'm going to just do whatever, like, suits me and whatever. Yeah. At any point I can betray you, but I think underneath it all, he does want to be liked. He does want to be loved and have that relationship with people and have that relationship with Thor.
Well, it's funny. I now am also thinking the mindset that he's in at that point. he's the youngest by another sibling by this point.
True.
Like he is like, again, so far away from being the successor that it's like extra little. Oh, you're the little, now you're not you're just not just the little brother, but there's also a sister who has an even better claim than this brother that you've been mad at. So like there's two people you would have to get through to get to that. So I almost wonder if it was just sort of like him being like, is this even a thing I can pursue anymore?
Yeah. Almost like
I also found Thor's logic. I understood why. I didn't agree with him being like, this is all your fault with the sister coming out because the dad passed. I was just like
this
what?
Was like,
your dad did this like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well, that's definitely the other thing that I was thinking about was like, she's like, the dad you know is not the dad I knew. And I was on board with her. She's like, listen, he was like, yay, you're great. And what did she say? I was his favorite weapon until I wasn't. Something like that. And I was like, yes, ma'am. Yeah. I get it. Yeah. So but also that's like the Black Panther thing too, where you've got the kids having to pay for the sins of the parents. And it comes back and then everyone's going, oh, it's your fault. And you're like, no, it's not Killmonger's fault. It's like, no, it's crazy parenting in this MCU universe, guys.
Yeah. And Loki, I knows that too, because, he was adopted and they didn't tell him, until he was a freaking adult, like in his like adult, not like, oh, you're 18 now. Like, no, like he was, Thor was about to ascend to the throne and they still hadn't told them yet. Hey, by the way, not only you're adopted, but you are one of the frost giants who we've actually been warring with forever. And, and I stole you.
That is nuts.
When is the best time to tell someone that?
I mean,
I think
when you give them a really nice gift and then be like, by the way,
happy birthday.
I think it goes to show you just have to have these honest conversations like throughout and like normalize it. And then also hopefully you have friends who have adopted kids to like show them and not just surprise. Everything you know is not what you think it is and like shatter a person's mind.
Yeah.
I think the thing you said, Kate, about them warring with the frost giants, that is huge. Because if this whole time your country has been fighting another country for whatever, because they're like evil baddies, and then you're like, I'm one of those people that were like, that will really screw your head.
Yeah. I mean, it's even visually represented by the fact that like Hela goes into the throne room. She throws the knives up at the ceiling, and then underneath is like a completely different tableau. So you're realizing like, oh, all of those like victories and all of those, those victories,
the spoils
Thor,
of war. When she said, where do you think all this gold came from? I'm like,
that was a hard
Have you
line.
seen the Catholic Church?
Yeah. That was a hard line.
Yeah. And these are all things that, that Thor grew up being like, oh, this was so awesome. And this is the history that I'm going to inherit. And, Loki gets gets kind of that first break in it, in the first movie where he realizes who he really is. And then you have you have Hela come in being like completely shattering that. And so now Thor
shatter that ceiling, because I bet you there's something underneath that ceiling. Because
lies.
Yeah,
they
lies.
had Loki's birth certificate.
A long time.
Yeah, that you realize Asgard actually used to be part of the Frost Giant Kingdom, and so they were the Asgardians were just the conquerors who got to write history. Which plays into that kind of theme that this time around, it's just like, oh, this is actually kind of more about like the history of empire, and how the winners rewrite the history to kind of like suit themselves. But now that Asgard is gone, Thor is going to lead them to where they are going to end up next. And you see that at the end, which is a very interesting place to end, his story at this point. He finally assumes the throne, but it's completely not what he was expecting, or, what he was, the type of throne he was told he was going to inherit, because literally the throne that that was there before is gone. But he does have Hulk by his side. He has Valkyrie. He has Loki and Korg. Oh, and by the way, did you know that Korg is actually played by Taika?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I looked it up because I was like, his voice sounds so familiar,
Yeah.
and I couldn't place it, and then looked it up, and I was like, yes.
I'm a Taika old school nerd fan from Flight of the Conchords, the short film of What We Do in the Shadows, the feature film of What We Do in the Shadows,
Wow.
and the series.
I have not seen the short film. Where can you watch it?
It's online on YouTube. They did because it was a precursor to the feature.
I've seen the feature.
Also,
he's so good in it.
And one thing that I noticed is think about the characters, the handful of characters who get to speak in their own accent.
Yes.
Because Thor's Australian, Tina doing British.
Yeah.
I guess Tom Hiddleston gets to be British.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny because I was like, that's hilarious. Because then and then somebody was Tessa Thompson is British.
Yes.
Because it's so I was like, oh, that's interesting. But then Korg gets to be Kiwi.
Yeah.
Norwegian. So shouldn't they be having Norwegian accents?
Well, that would
that
would imply that Americans understand that Europe is different countries. Because I remember watching. Remember Drew Barrymore was in this movie called Ever After, which is set in France.
I remember that. Yeah,
in British accents, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense.
What?
Yeah. I just remember whenever I was young, I was like, if it's period, and they're probably British. It's olden times, so they're of course they're talking in British. You're just like,
there we
they
go.
could have been Irish, they could from Welsh, they could be. I was like, they're talking British.
But that ain't the colonizer's accent, ma'am.
No. So I think that's a great place to wrap up on the Marvel side of our podcast for today. Let's go ahead and transition into our stretch and share, where we stretch and we share a highlight from our week. Quincy, I don't remember. Did you?
I have a share.
Okay. Well, I'll pick the stretch then. Let's do just like hand things, like finger stuff. I think we probably did this pretty recently, but it's really easy when you're sitting down to do hand stuff. That sounds dirty.
It sounds filthy. I'll do hand stuff for you, Kay.
Oh, thank you so much. Wait, what?
Let's do all the hand stuff.
This is supposed to be a good one, I think.
Oh, that is good.
Ooh.
I feel that.
My share, I already kind of shared it. So if I'm going to share it again, just because it's so apropos. I went to watch Shang-Chi this past week, and it was amazing.
Cool. Did you feel spoiled at all? Or were there parts where you're just like, I don't get that, since you hadn't seen all the other movies? Or
No, I don't think there were spoilers. There was some connective tissue from other movies, which I won't mention, Kay, for your earmuffs.
Okay, good.
So that was cool to see that threading live, since I'm seeing all the threading retroactively. And it was really fun and funny. And I think there were some concerns that it was going to be like a Black Panther knockoff, like the Asian version of it. And it wasn't. And it was like funny. And like Awkwafina kills it in it. And at the premiere, I went to, her name's, I think, Manger, the actress who plays Shang-Chi. I'm just going to shut up. Anyway, an actress came out.
The movie.
Yeah, came out with the director and then the production designer and then the two editors. I'm pretty sure it's probably more than two editors on the team, but two editors came out, and she was just so fun. Like, that actress came out and like was either live streaming or videotaping the entire intro, like of the premiere the whole time. And like, she was great. I just fell in love with her just because she was awesome. And like, yeah, it had wuxia elements in it too, which was really yummy. Cause like, how can you not have an Asian action film and not incorporate some kind of wuxia? So it was really fun. It was good.
Great. Yeah. I've heard good things, and I can't wait to see it. I'm not going out as much because I'm being I'm one of the people being more strict in terms of like restrictions and stuff like that. So I will probably wait until it comes out on streaming. Right now they're doing like a 45-day window. So it should be on Disney Plus about like mid-October. Lisa, do you have a share for this week?
Oh my gosh, yes. I bought a car from Carvana.
Wow, cool.
My fiance's car died, so we needed another car. And it was literally a situation in which we had been looking for one. And I had poked around on the Carvana website, and I'd created a profile for myself, but with his car, because we're like, oh, eventually we're going to see it. And then when the car died, this is how lazy I was. I was like, ugh, am I going to start a new profile for him under this with all the car's info, or am I just going to buy it? And so we did it through but I was like, that was such a funny moment to be like, I'm just buying a car. Like I'm just clicking it. And it must be a generational thing, because when the guy arrived with the car and then to take the car for the trade-off, like it was so easy. I felt like
how Carvana works. I don't.
It sounds like, listen, they really should be sponsoring you guys after I'm on here, because I'm just raving. I am raving. But it was so easy that I was like, I could see how I could accidentally be a little tipsy and buy a car, because they really make it so smooth. And the guy dropped it off. And I mean, there's a few things where I could see how it would be weird if you hadn't driven this car before, but like, it was the same car that his mom has. So we were familiar with it.
So you have to like know either the car you want or be familiar with.
Yeah. I think you should really, if you're somebody who needs to touch it and get in there and more hands-on, like maybe this wouldn't work for you, but I have never liked going to a dealership. And so, my mind was so blown. I kept saying to the guy, like, are people usually like just like blown away? He's like, no, actually people just don't go, okay, thanks. I was like, oh God, I'm such a dork.
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's always been like for me a thing where it's just like big purchase. It should take half a day, or if not the whole day, to go into the place and make sure everything is tested and you write out the contract and all the features are blah, blah, blah. And I can see how can just like, oh, this is so easy. I feel weird about it. You know,
let's get another one.
Yeah. Lisa now owns 5 cars.
I'm sponsored by Carvana.
Every day of the week.
If you're driving places, might as well. Cool. Great share. My share this week is I ordered food from like a Mexican restaurant that I really enjoy, and they hadn't offered delivery before for a while, so it was really great. And I got guacamole, which is always such a treat because it's so good, and it's I just have such a hard time making my own guacamole, because I feel like the whole thing with buying avocados and making sure they're ripe at the right time and waiting until they're, just the right amount of, like softness to make
the moon
them
landing.
It's
to time just right.
Yeah. It's like such a process. So
and then when you make it, you have to like figure out how to like either eat it very fast or save it before it like browns completely. It's like a battle.
Exactly. It's like this whole, like, it's almost like you're starting a relationship with this avocado as soon as you buy it in order to make it into actually guacamole. Come on.
You should check it every day to see if it's the right. Like it's very involved.
Yeah, it is just, and the thing is, I don't want just avocado. I want guacamole. So I need it to be guacamole ready. And then I need to also make it into guacamole. So I just had guacamole this week from a takeout place, and I was like, this is life. Yes. Guacamole.
Yes.
So that's my share. And that brings us to the makeup portion of the podcast. So today we are talking about toners. But first we are going to go over my look for today.
Yes.
My main focus was to come in with a cat eye because, to kind of relate it to Thor, Thor was.
Did you lose an eye? You did not lose an eye.
I didn't lose an eye. But to me, this Thor looked so different and was such a different feel and look and was so much dramatically different than the other Thors. I was like, let's bring the drama. Let's bring the cat eye.
I love
a cat eye.
I'm just going to a little bit different. I will say, I think this one is a little bit better
Then you're doing it. That's the cat eye experience.
Yeah.
That is accurate. One
That's
will always be
a
more
little
perfect
bit
than the
better.
other.
Yes. Hey,
or is it this
good.
one a little bit better?
No, you are right. So I have you on my monitor so I can see a bigger picture of you. Yes, you are right. Your left eye is more. The hat is on. If we want to call back to our cat eye episode,
the hat. Okay, the hat is on.
Remember
straight.
the triangle? Yeah.
Yes.
Kay had done a cat eye, Lisa, and it was like I didn't want to be like. It sucks. So I was like, when a cat,
when you like wear a hat, but like it's just a little, it's a little off. Like that's the way your cat eye looks. I was like,
See,
okay.
I know that, and the thing with that is a very slippery slope where you start to add to it to fix it, and then before you know it, you're like, so these are here now.
Yes. So I will say, I attempted to. I think it was this. I'm trying to remember. I think it actually was this one. This one, I felt like it was a little too thick, like the whole way from the middle to the outside. So it actually was more full. I feel like here it was like bigger. So I tried to make it thinner and I Q-tipped it to take some off, but then I would add some back. And then the bottom and the top of my eye above it, it would look kind of like blackish from like the movement of the thing. So I put concealer and more foundation just around this part of the eye.
Good job,
so this took me about an hour and a half to do these.
You are.
But you say this one is better. I actually this one. I actually thought that this one was better just because it's more swooping. It's more swooping up and not as chunky.
I think the shape is good. The reason the left eye looks like it's placed better is because the bottom. So when you do your cat eye, hold on, let me move the screen. So you want the bottom of the swirl to match up with the swoop of your eye, your bottom.
Okay. So you're saying this one matches the swoop more.
Yeah. So it follows the natural curvature of your eye.
Okay. So this one, like it should go kind of
and it goes, it's a little bit under. So it brings the shape of your eye a little down, right? So everything is about like accentuating and like lifting. So let me use a piece of paper.
So this is great.
The cat eye like
starts above that.
It follows this line here.
Okay.
And it just depends on, Amy Winehouse had hers like out to here. But it would come up to here. So you follow the bottom, and that's how you match it up. So see how this then accentuates my eye shape versus if I brought it down here, it's now pulling my eye down.
It's going down.
Yeah.
So you would say that this eye. Do
you see how the bottom of that the cat eye is a little bit lower than your bottom eye?
I see.
So
Okay.
the bottom of your cat eye needs to line up with the bottom of your eye line. Also, live your best life. If this is how you want to do it, like do it. But if you're trying to like lift your eye.
I have a question. Is this your first time doing it, Kay?
No, we did. So we had an episode where Quincy showed me, and that's where we came up with the metaphor of like skewed hat. This is my first attempt of doing it by myself.
Yeah. I would say this is your first time doing it by yourself.
Just so you know, this would be the worst it ever looks. And this is pretty great.
Yeah.
Because that's not what mine looked like. I don't think the first time I tried it.
This took a long time, and it was a lot of like taking some off, putting some on, putting more around it.
But it'll only get easier from here because now you've done it.
Yeah. And now that you pointed out, I do see, and I will say, I worked on this really, really hard. This one, so the fact that this one came out better is kind of actually a good thing. Cause but the fact that you're saying like that, this one, I'm seeing it now that
it's just the location line of where it starts.
Yep.
If you had it like just it would be perfect.
I think
it's a great.
I think what I ended up doing is like, one time, the other time you were saying like, sometimes people put the thing backwards, the pencil, and they just like stamp it.
Yep.
I think this one I did that, and this one I actually try to draw
Free-handed it. Yeah.
So I think
You can do either or. The
if I do
free-handed
that
takes
for
practice.
this one next time, it
Yes.
might be closer to this.
Yeah.
So
Lisa, you
cool.
look stunned.
I'm just enamored of all this.
Yeah, just so you know, for tip wise, if you are doing a cat eye with the felt tip one, the triangle, if you are having a hard time freehanding it, you can just use the triangle and press it on your eye like a stamp.
So it lines up.
And it'll create the little tail that you're looking for.
Yeah, and I did that amazing. For this side, but not for this side.
Yeah.
So I will try to do that both sides next time. All right, so
let's talk about toners.
Success.
Yes.
Woo,
Hey,
woo.
great.
I have missed
execution.
conversations like this.
Yeah.
But now to the topic of the day, toners.
Toner.
Which are actually a skincare item. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
I don't know if you want to start off, but like skincare regime. I know the basics of, wash your face, double wash if you're wearing makeup. And then once you're done, moisturize. But where does the toner come into play?
Thank you.
Toner comes after you wash your face, depending on your face wash. It'll help with the pH balance of your skin once you're done. Some cleansers already have that, so you might not need that, but it's generally for like prepping your skin for skincare and to hydrate your skin. If you especially want like an extra boost of skin, of moisturizer before you put stuff on, that's what it's for.
So it's like moisturizer before moisturizer?
Kind of, yeah. If you want that, especially sometimes if you have like oily skin, it's usually because your skin is like too dry. Like it's actually because it's dry. So your skin overproduces oil to compensate for the dryness. So if you give it an extra boost of moisturizer, that might help.
Okay.
Wow. I'm totally not using toner. You've basically described my face. And I'm realizing that I have oily skin because it's probably dry.
Yeah. Like or that it needs just more more moisture. Yeah.
So in terms of like tone, like what type of toner do you use? How often do you use it?
I use my toner twice a day. So every time when I wash my face in the morning, I put it on. When I wash my face at night, I put it on.
And that's before the moisturizer. Okay. And how did you use
witch hazel? Is that?
Yeah, witch hazel is good. Are you using the one from Target, the red one by any chance?
No, I'm using this MH Brayers. Is that the name? It's like an old timey looking witch hazel bottle. It's clear. Even the label looks like it could have been from the 1800s or something.
Yes. I think that's the one I'm talking about from Target. Maybe it has an old man on it or something.
Yes. Old man.
Thayer's Rose, which that
Thayer's.
one.
Yes.
That was the one I was talking about. Yeah, that one's great. As long as it feels good on your skin, it feels like it's like plumping it, moisturizing it, and doesn't make your skin feel like tight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I used to use, I don't know if it was a toner, but like something after cleaning. And this is like 10 years ago. And like alcohol is I remember when I was like breaking out a lot, I used this Neutrogena when it's blue. It has alcohol in it, and that would kill like the pimples. But then to find out like the alcohol isn't good for your skin because it's like tightening and drying you out your probably. Skin. Yeah. I used the Thayer's one. That's great. And now for me, I have to use a toner before I do moisturizer. I don't know. Something about it just feels really yummy on my skin before I put the moisturizer on. Okay. You don't have to. But for me, I've noticed like I like to include it in my beauty routine.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to, we've been focusing more on makeup over all these episodes. So as we get more into skincare, I would like to have a regime because I am wearing makeup more and I'm washing my face kind of more fervently and more consistent, more often, before I was just like no makeup. So I just wash my face in the morning, wash my face in the evening, and then put moisturizer on. I will say
you can I didn't know this. You can like double up on toner. You can like do it 2 or 3 times if you like really want to give it like extra.
Well, I will say your skin looks great.
Yeah. So I do. So are you wearing makeup today?
No.
Today, Quincy? And so,
Wow, you look fantastic. You're a good advertisement for toner.
I know, right? Right.
And we have Carvana in the house. They're witch hazel in the house.
And
yeah.
and I will say, like, I do, I appreciate the learning all of this, like all of the foundation and like making everything, smooth. But I will say, like, as I've been using makeup more and more, I feel like I am kind of having more breakouts in areas. And I would like for my base skin look to get more, closer to yours, Quincy, closer, just like I have no makeup on and it looks just nice and smooth, and so adding makeup feels more like
it's aggravating. It's maybe agitating your skin a little bit.
Yeah. Or just the idea of like the way I look without makeup versus with makeup isn't such a gap, isn't such a like, so
you don't feel like a fraud. I know
exactly. Or, so I don't like show up with makeup on a Zoom one day and people be like, what did you do? Cause you don't look like that at all ever normally,
Yeah.
I would say
I'm not full disclosure. I'm not a dermatologist. I'm just like, I love skincare stuff.
Disclaimer.
I would say start with like, try a toner, see if it makes a difference. The Thayer's one that Lisa and I just mentioned is a great toner to, I think, start with. Because it's like really nice. It feels fresh. Like it feels good on your skin.
It feels natural. It doesn't feel crazy. Like,
yeah. And it won't break the bank.
Chemical.
It's like $7.
It's so cheap for like a giant bottle of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And in terms of applying toner, like how do you do it? How much do you use at a time?
So I have a girlfriend who will just like I don't know how she does this because I would get it all over. She just like, not the Thayer's one. It's a different like the opening is different, but she'll just like do it on her face and just let it run. And then she'll use her fingers to like rub it in. I use like a cotton pad and just wipe all over my face gently.
And is it you kind of like, if it's like an open bottle thing, do you just like do like this thing and then wipe? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And if we're I just found this out, like if you get like a moisturizer with tea tree oil, it'll help with oil if you have oily skin, because I tend to be more on the oily side.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, another thing too is you could get a little spray bottle and diffuse, and that makes it like easy. Yeah. You could even put a drop of tea tree oil in with the witch hazel.
Probably. Yeah, that's a good idea.
What is tea tree oil?
I don't know. I just know tea tree oil is great. It's like I don't know.
It has like antifungal properties. Like what you were saying about the alcohol, the reason that the alcohol in your toner, I believe before, was helping, it was like killing all that bacteria, but then it was drying you out. But tea tree oil will have those antifungal properties. I feel like it's kind of like it's like cleans. I don't know that I'm saying that correctly, but that's the idea. Because I think also too, if you're having like itchy scalp or something, tea tree oil is supposed to be good for that, or like dandruff or something.
Also for to prevent like mosquito bites from happening, because they hate the smell.
So it would be like a separate thing that you would purchase.
Yes. If you're gonna do the toner and then add a drop of it, you would buy like a little essential oil of tea tree oil. But there's probably like a toner out there. I can send you some.
I bet you're right. That has it in it.
That already has it. I found out like fermented ingredients, like especially in K-beauty, like fermented rice is a good way to add like antioxidants, like super like moisturize your face. Look, I guess licorice extract is also good for anti-aging properties. I can send you guys the link of like drugstore level pricing to something like a treat yourself kind of toner, and you guys can choose which one you like.
Sure. Yeah.
Like an experiment.
Yeah. I've been just ordering things here and there and then trying them and then seeing like, oh, this works, this doesn't work. So yeah, definitely let's add it to the pile. One more question. Like, when did you start using toner, and when did it like occur to you to start using it?
I don't know. I probably want to say like 4 or 5 years ago. And part of it was just, I think, being exposed to it. So I have a girlfriend who's like big on skincare. I adore her. She will be wasted like on the floor,
Wash that face.
and will do her whole skincare versus me. There are some nights, I'm not going to lie, I'm like, it's a gift that I even brush my teeth. So, I'm trying to break that habit because I'm not 20 anymore. So like about 4 or 5 years ago, I want to say part of it is just moisturizer, clean your face, moisturize, drink lots of water. And just, I stripped down my skincare stuff too. Like it's not a whole lot of stuff anymore. Like, especially because we're young, like we don't need like heavy creams, because I was using heavy creams and then like getting blackheads and stuff because it was like clogging my pore. As long as you have a good moisturizer that you like, and you don't have to have a serum, but like so my thing is I wash my face, toner. I use hyaluronic, I'm saying it wrong, acid with my little serum. And they're all moisturizing hydration stuff. Do that. And then moisturizer and then sunscreen if I'm going out. And that's it.
Okay. And so that's at the beginning of your day. How would it be changed at the end of your day?
So I like the moisturizer I have now. So it's pretty much the same at night. The only thing I will do is maybe put on like a heavier cream at night to go to bed. Cause like, that's when all your cells are like regenerating and cleaning and blah, blah, blah. Just to give it like that extra boost.
Sorry, to review one more time. We wash face, toner, serum
mixed with hyaluronic. I'm saying it wrong.
Mixed
with hydrochloric acid.
Yes.
Write that down.
Burn my face.
And you wake up with a new face.
Yes.
Serum with the acid.
I will text. I
think it's hyaluronic.
That's it. I can't say that word. How do you have to say that word? Hyaluronic.
Have no idea because I don't use it. But as soon as you said it, I've seen it written on a bottle. You know what I think it is? I'm very good friends with someone whose partner works at L'Oreal, and I would visit them every couple of years in New York and stay there forever. And their house has I think I just read it in their home. Cause every time I would go into the shower, they're like, use all the products. And my memory of their bathroom has just had like all these boxes. And I'm sure at some point that like hyaluronic acid is like,
wow, is embedded.
Conscious.
Wow. It's like
an Easter egg in an MCU. movie.
Wow. Dang. Oh,
and
wow.
You have a cat? Wait a minute.
Real life Easter eggs. So serum with the acid and then the cream.
And then moisturizer.
Night, right?
And then moisturizer. Yeah. And then cream.
The moisturizer I will swap out for a cream depending on how I feel.
Okay.
Yeah. And then a face mask, like a sheet mask, like a Korean sheet mask, like once a week.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
On not on top of all those things, like that's a separate thing, right?
The sheet mask I will do after I take a shower, and it'll be what I put on before I do the night skincare stuff.
Well, we're just up about the middle of the phase 3. So we will have more time to dive into more skincare stuff because just you listing all of those off, my brain is like,
deer in headlights.
I love it. It's I come from a place of like very low maintenance. My mom didn't really do much except like a red lip and red nails, no matter what. That was
all
like
you
the
need.
constant. Oh. Yes.
And your mom is fabulous.
She is fabulous. Well, the funny thing is my mom had 3 girls. And then we all kind of learned how to do our makeup and stuff around the same time because my mom, I kind of feel like she was just like raising us and just like, and it wasn't until we were teenagers that she was like, oh, I could play with this and have fun. Like, they've got their lives a bit sorted out. So we all kind of learned how to do that stuff.
That's really cool.
Around the same time, I would say, because my mom wasn't very low maintenance. I come from that mindset, but like it's such a dichotomy of being like low maintenance, but also I love makeup. I love dramatic
shows. You always have a great lip.
Thank you.
It's usually like a dark wine lip color that I love.
Yes, ma'am. Usually in the fall. And in the summer, I try to make it a little bit of an orangey red.
Brighter.
Lip.
Yes. Yeah. And you have great skin too. Like,
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
Do you mind? Are you wearing any makeup today?
I will tell you exactly what I have on today. So I have just, I put on the moisturizer, which is a tinted moisturizer.
Okay.
It's and so that already gives you like a nice sort of like
Base
fresh face.
color.
And then I do a tiny bit because because you guys said to bring your stuff. So I just do a little bronzer powder
On your
That's
cheek?
great.
on my cheeks and up here. And like sometimes if I'm feeling fancy, because I have like the darkest circle. I think it's a genetic thing. I think I read somewhere that like you kind of can't do anything about it. And I'm like, that's fine. But like I'll put on a little concealer under eye because it's like I really do have like these crazy blue veins, and it's not from black, because they're like, oh, it could be from caffeine. Blah, blah, blah. And some people it's just genetic. And I'm like, oh, that's just my look. So I'll put a little concealer sometimes around there. But other than that, I mean, the lip is the thing. And with mask culture, it's like, because I feel like some ladies, it's like, oh, as long as I have an eye, I feel done. And I've always been more of the lip. So for me, the eye, I was like, oh, okay, that, with masks and stuff, it's harder. I can't be putting on
I wore lipstick when I went out recently, and when I did take it off, I was like, oh, we're not going to be using this again because it's all just on there.
Lisa, I love your makeup, what you have on. That's great, because it's like that's so simple. I would never think to put bronzer on like that, like to use a tinted moisturizer and then a bronzer to just like warm it up. Right now I dumped my full coverage foundation because I was like, I don't need this. And I'm doing a BB cream now.
Oh yeah.
But like a bronzer is a good substitute to put some color on your face without like full coverage, blah, blah, blah.
I've been a big avoider of the sun since I was young. And and it's funny because, my mother's from Colombia, and my Latin family, a lot of members are very dark skinned, not very fair. And then my dad was just like white. And I was like, my family would always tease me. They're like, you're so white. Like and I'm like, I will crisp. I don't have the same gene. Like, what are we doing? Why are we acting like this is a fair fight? Like hey guys, what's wrong with you? And so since I was young, I just had like a very good, I remember looking at my dad, my white dad, just coming back from the beach, just radiating red. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, no, I can't do that. That's crazy. So I've always been big about staying out of the sun. But when you do that, like, at least for me, my skin color, like if I don't have any bronzer on, I feel like I just have like a big flat moon face. And so for me, I just need a little definition of the color to not feel super washed out.
Well, and I will say it's so interesting to hear people's different regimes and different like kind of like setups that they use, because it just makes you realize like there's no real right way to do it. It's just basically what look are you going for, and feel free to use whatever, like even if it's blush, or even if it's a little lipstick or gloss, try it on your cheeks. Or if it's an eyeshadow, use it as a contouring thing. So it helps me kind of realize how much more freedom you actually have and how much more fluidity there actually is in terms of like what you can put on your face and where to put it.
I think in the beginning, you just like, the reason it's like, do it like this is just so you understand like foundation is for your face. So you're not like, I put, like you understand.
Put it on my feet.
Yeah. Right. But
I put lipstick on my eyes.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Well, I think that's a great place to go ahead and wrap up today's episode. Thank you so much, Lisa, for joining us. It's been a great time. And thanks to all for listening and or watching. Lisa, where can people find you if you would like them to come find you on the social media? Or do you have any items you would like to plug?
Okay, thank you guys so much. I do have stuff to plug. I started a podcast called the Pilots 101 podcast that I host with my co-host, Chris Quintos, and we talk about are the first episodes of TV shows that we love, and
Awesome.
or maybe we don't love. We haven't come across anyone that we've hated so far, so who knows? We'll give it time.
Wait, what have you guys covered so far? Can I ask?
100% you can. We've covered Resident Alien, Living Single,
Classic.
West Wing. I'm going out of order now. Slings and Arrows. I just watched X-Files because we're gonna do that. I'm trying to remember a couple ones. Basically, we have no order. We talk about it and then we try to think about what would be the hardest left turn.
Okay.
And like we don't, it can be new, it can be old, all over the place. It's basically just sort of like literally all that matters is that we're talking about the first episode, because as somebody who is an aspiring TV writer who's yet to write anything that anyone has purchased, you still write a lot of pilots.
Yeah.
Before, you sell anything or anybody ever hires you. And so I just thought to myself, we're writing so many pilots. I would love to just talk about what I love about that whole process.
Do
Awesome.
you also read them?
Sometimes I will have read them. Usually we just watch them, but because I'm such a nerd, I probably have read them in the past. But yeah, I like to think of it as a blind date. I think a pilot is a blind date with the audience. And, you have to get so much across without also seeming needy. So, we really see it's such a fun, a delicate dance, because no other episode of a show, there's everything's riding on that.
Yeah, it's the first impression. Yeah.
If you guys ever do Black Monday, please let me know.
Oh, yes, we will do Black Monday next, because we just look for suggestions. Oh, I haven't done that yet, and we will. And one that we haven't done we did do it. Wellington Paranormal.
Oh, yes, that's a fun one.
That's a Taika.
That's a Taika show.
I don't know if he's the showrunner, but it's three cops in New Zealand who investigate paranormal activities, and it is so silly.
Oh, so you guys are also doing like non-US pilots, right?
Oh, 100%. We're gonna do Kingdom, because Kingdom changed my life. Like, that show just my brain was like.
Are you doing Sweet Home? I still haven't watched Sweet Home yet, Lisa.
You haven't watched Sweet Home yet?
No,
I will do it.
Is that Netflix? Sweet Home?
It is on
Korean
Netflix.
Horror. It was originally a webcomic that they turned into a series. Yeah,
it is.
It's a great horror comic.
It's so good. It's so. I mean, I can't remember I feel like we watched one show where Netflix was like, oh, so you can handle subtitles? All right. And then I was like, this algorithm of like these crazy horrors from Spain. Cause like, then it's kind of cool, because it really wasn't just like, we watched Kingdom, and I think some more South Korean horrors came in, but then it sort of was like, oh, something about the algorithm was like, oh, I know that you don't speak Korean. This is basically telling me you're open to anything that's not your own language. And then we got all these like Scandinavian crime show, like all this. Cool. If you're willing to read subtitles, you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much television.
My friend said Flower of Evil is good on Hulu.
Flower of Evil, I will check it out.
K-drama, like crime series. I
watch way too much television, so I will also email you. Email suggestions. we have been, we're very new. We just started out, and I've been very bad about promoting. But whatever. We're doing it weekly. But right.
What is it? Pilots 101, Lisa?
The Pilots 101 podcast. We are anywhere that podcasts can be found, I believe. I know for sure we're on Spotify, and then all of our socials are at Pilots 101 podcast, or Pilots 101 pod is like Twitter. Cool. I think that's the only one. But cool. And I'm at Timmons Lisa on everything.
Yay! Great. Well, thank you so much. And if you'd like to reach out to us or find out more about Marvel Makeup, you can follow us on all social media at Marvel Makeup, or you can email us at marvelmakeuppod@gmail.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you find your podcasts.
And please give us 5 stars so that our Asian moms will understand why we know more about Loki than our third cousin, who we haven't seen since we were 8.
Yeah, I don't remember him. I'll tell you all about Loki, but don't remember my third cousin. So thanks, everyone. We'll catch you next time on Marvel and Makeup. Marvel and Makeup is hosted and produced by Quincy Cho and Kay Kanapu. Quincy is an actor-writer based in Los Angeles, California. Kay is a writer-performer for Filipino AF and an alum of the CBS Diversity Sketch Showcase. You can follow them on Twitter and Instagram at Quincy Dinosaur and at Kay Kanapu.
The music for Marvel and Makeup was composed by Clarence Yap, and our artwork was designed by Patty Lin. You can find them on Instagram at Clarence_Yap and at pattylin.jpg. See our show notes for even more info.
Marvel and Makeup is also a member of the Potluck Podcast Collective, a network of Asian American hosted podcasts. Please check out our fellow Potluck pods by going to the website podcastpotluck.com.
Hey, I'm Phil Yu, and you may know me from a blog called Angry Asian Man.
And I'm Jeff Yang, author, journalist, and celebrity dad.
We host a podcast called They Call Us Bruce, an unfiltered conversation about what's happening in Asian America.
Each week or so, we host a discussion about some of the most vital and interesting topics in our pop culture and our community, bringing in guests who are shaping and informing this thing called Asian America from Hollywood to DC and beyond.
We got media, entertainment, food, family, politics, representation.
The good, the bad, the WTF of it all.
So check us out wherever you get your podcasts or at theycallusbruce.com.
Peace.
Peace.
Cool. And so have you dove into like any of the TV shows yet?
I haven't yet. I'm very
Okay.
curious about Loki. I wanted, everybody was talking about WandaVision.
Yeah.
And I need to
talk about pilots. I mean,
absolutely. I need to dive into those two.
yeah. And I just read they won 2 Emmys over yesterday. Got the Creative Arts Emmys for just sci-fi costumes and production design, I think. So
How crazy is it that awards are happening? Like awards shows are still
I know they're
happening.
still
Like, it's
happening.
So strange.
You
I
can
work on
literally
one.
just email people and be like, you won this. I think someone made a joke during like a award ceremony one year where they're like, you know how they do Nobel Peace Prizes? They email them. But for us, we do a whole show. So, thanks for being here,
Exactly.
Email Nobel Peace Prize winners?
I think so. Yeah. And like,
That's
other
so funny.
really high ranking type grants and stuff like
This is like a teensy, it is ageist. But like, I feel like Nobel Peace Prize winners tend to be very like old sometimes, or is this just me made up in my head? Cause then I'm like,
I feel like for the most part, they would be generally older because it's the idea, I believe, is a bit of a life's work.
yeah,
type
like
of
a
thing.
legacy thing, right? Cause then my next question is like, then I'm very concerned for these people with their emails because my parents don't know how to email. Like, what if this guy misses his?
there's
Nobel
some
Peace Prize?
young like Malala Yousafzai. I don't know how to say her last name.
She
She's a
received a
Peace
TikTok.
Prize. What?
She received a TikTok letting her know.
Yeah, she received a TikTok.
Yeah,